Earth was condemned to slavery. Now the galaxy trembles in fear. In the year 3104, Earth was not free. It was a slave planet. Long ago, powerful aliens called the Zircon Dominion came from deep space. They came in huge black ships and destroyed Earth's armies in just 7 days. No country could stop them. No weapon worked against them. After the war, the Zircons made a rule. Humans are tools, not people. Now humans live like machines. Every day they worked in mines, factories, and space stations. They built ships for Zircon soldiers. They carried heavy stones. They cleaned alien cities. If they made a mistake, they were punished. No human was allowed to speak freely or dream. The aliens erased Earth's history. All old books, movies, and records were destroyed. Children were born in slave camps. They never saw a free sky. They never learned about Earth's past, about music, art, or heroes. But in the deep mines of New Africa, one boy was different. His name was Rayan. Rayan was 19. He worked in the mineral tunnels under the old Sahara Desert. Every day, he used a laser cutter to break red stones. He wore a broken mask and dirty clothes. Like others, he was tired and silent. But inside, Rayan was not empty. He had questions, he had dreams, and he had a secret. Many years ago, Rayan's grandfather gave him a small box. It looked like a toy, but it was not. His grandfather said, "Keep this safe. When the stars change, open it." Rayan didn't know what that meant, but every night he looked at the sky, hoping for a sign. Then, one night, the sky gave him something. While working late in the mine, Rayan's laser cutter hit a strange wall. Behind it was a small tunnel. He looked around. No cameras, no guards. He crawled inside. At the end of the tunnel was an old cave. Inside the cave were broken machines, maps, and a glowing screen. The air was thick with dust, but the screen still worked. On it were strange words. Earth Archive. Do not forget. Rayan put his box near the screen. It clicked. The box opened. A small light came out. The screen turned on fully. Suddenly, Rayan saw something he never saw before. Real images of Earth. Green forests, blue oceans, tall cities, and smiling humans. The screen showed videos of Earth's last war. He saw soldiers in metal suits, fighting the Zircons. He saw a group of humans escaping Earth in secret ships. They called themselves the Forsaken Flame. One voice said clearly, "We were forced to leave, but we will return. When the time is right, Earth will rise again." Rayan's heart beat faster. His hands shook. All his life, he thought Earth was alone and broken. But now, he knew the truth. Earth was not finished. Earth had survivors. Rayan stayed in the cave for hours. He watched every video. He learned names, places, old languages. He read about ancient Earth history. He saw leaders, rebels, and inventors. He saw humans who refused to bow. When he returned to the mines, he felt different, stronger. He looked at the alien guards and thought, "You are not gods. You just made us forget." The next day, while working, he whispered to a friend, "Do you believe humans were once free?" The friend looked shocked. "Sheh, don't say that. The walls have ears." But later that night, that same friend came to Rayan in secret. "I found something too," he said, and showed an old human knife with writing on it. "To fight is to be free." More people began to whisper. A girl named Tessa said she remembered her mother talking about the stars. An old man named Grake said he kept a book hidden under his bed. Little by little, a group was forming. A group that remembered. But then, something happened that changed everything. An old Earth satellite, floating near Mars, turned on after 80 years of silence. It picked up a new signal. Not alien, human. The message was short, only 5 words. "We are coming. Be ready." Rayan saw the signal in the cave's screen. He froze. The words repeated again and again. We are coming. Be ready. We are coming. Be ready. Was it real? Were the Forsaken flames still alive? Were they coming to save Earth? He didn't know. But the hope was real. And that hope was dangerous. Because if the Zircons discovered this signal, they would kill everyone who heard it. But Rayan didn't feel fear anymore. He felt something stronger. He felt purpose. Earth was condemned to slavery. Now the galaxy trembles in fear. Rayan could not sleep. The signal was still in his mind. We are coming. Be ready. No one on Earth had heard such words in over 80 years. No one believed help would ever come. But now, hope was back. And hope was dangerous. Inside the secret cave under the mines, Rayan and 3 others sat around the glowing screen. Tessa, the brave girl with sharp eyes. Grake, the old man with a secret book. And Juno, a quiet boy who knew how to fix broken tech. Rayan played the signal again. The same words repeated. We are coming. Be ready. Tessa whispered, do you think it's real? Are humans really out there? Rayan nodded slowly. Yes, the Forsaken flames survived. They promised to return. Grake touched the cave wall. Then we must prepare. But how? We have nothing. No weapons, no ships, just broken memories. Rayan stood and opened the strange box his grandfather gave him. Inside was a hidden slot. He placed it into the screen side. Suddenly, a new file opened. Steel Archive, Level 2 Memory. The screen changed. Images appeared, diagrams, machines, maps, and something more. Earth-made weapons, but not normal weapons. These were different, designed with both alien and human knowledge. Rayan whispered, my grandfather was not just a miner. He was an engineer. The file had instructions on how to build a weapon called the Pulse Breaker, a gun that used electric waves to destroy alien shields. Juno's eyes lit up. I can build this. I just need the right parts. Grake smiled. I know where we can find them. In the junk sector, near the old train tunnel. But it's guarded. Tessa stood. Then we'll take a risk. It's time we fight back. The next night, under the black sky of Earth, the team moved in secret. They walked through dry riverbeds and old ruins. The Zircon guards used flying drones, but Juno hacked a nearby signal tower to blind their scanners. In the junk sector, they found broken machines, old satellite pieces, and burned-out alien tech. Grake pointed to a large crate. Inside is what we need. Suddenly, a light flashed. A drone spotted them. Run, Rayan shouted. But Tessa didn't run. She picked up a sharp metal bar and threw it at the drone. It hit perfectly. The drone crashed to the ground. They grabbed the parts and escaped through the tunnels. Back in the cave, Juno worked for 3 nights. He didn't sleep. He didn't eat much. Rayan and Tessa helped where they could. Finally, the Pulse Breaker was ready. Rayan held it in his hands. It was heavy, powerful, and real. Not a dream. Grake said, this is the first human weapon built on Earth in 80 years. Rayan aimed at a rock wall and fired. A loud blue wave hit the stone, and it exploded. They all stared in silence. For the first time, they had power. The next day, they tested the weapon in the open, but something went wrong. A small scout drone picked up the energy signal and reported it to the Zircon command. In the alien tower above the mining city, High Overseer Crethor received the alert. A human weapon. He growled. Impossible. Kill all workers in Zone 4. Find the source. Rayan's group had to move fast. They split up and hid the weapon in a new cave. But Tessa was missing. Rayan searched all night. In the morning, a boy came running. They took Tessa. She was captured near the food depot. Rayan's heart sank. Inside the alien command base, Tessa sat tied to a chair. Her face was bruised, but her eyes were sharp. Overseer Crethor walked in. "You are smarter than most humans," he said coldly. "Tell me who gave you the weapon." Tessa said nothing. He showed her a screen with Rayan's face. "You will talk, or he dies." Still, she stayed silent. Then she smiled. "You're too late," she said. "They're already here." Crethar leaned forward. "Who?" She looked into his eyes. "The real humans." Outside the base, far above the clouds, a strange object entered Earth's orbit. It moved fast and silent. The Zircon satellites did not detect it, but the old Earth satellite, the one that sent the signal, did. Its message changed. Now it said, "Landing confirmed. Operation Flameborn has begun." Earth was condemned to slavery. Now the galaxy trembles in fear. High above Earth, in the cold silence of space, something moved. It was not a star. It was not a Zircon ship. It was human, but different. Bigger, faster, deadlier. For the first time in 80 years, a human warship entered Earth's orbit. Its name was the Ember Blade. This was the beginning of Operation Flameborn. Inside the alien command tower, Overseer Crethar stared at the sky through his high-tech scope. "What is that?" he hissed. "That is not one of ours." Alarms began to ring. Red lights flashed. Zircon soldiers shouted orders. Their scanners could not identify the ship. It was using unknown tech, old human signals, but with something more advanced. Something even the aliens didn't understand. Down below, in the mine tunnels, Rayan stood with Juno and Grake. They had just received a message on the old screen. "Target strike begins in 5 minutes. Stay clear of Sector 9. Rayan's hands trembled. "They're really here," he whispered. Grake looked up at the ceiling. "I've waited my whole life to see this day." Juno smiled. "Let's see what real humans can do." In Sector 9, the largest Zircon base stood like a dark mountain. Alien ships rested on landing pads. Guards walked the walls. No one expected an attack. Suddenly, the sky exploded. A bright beam of blue fire shot down from the Ember Blade. It hit the base like thunder. The ground shook. Walls broke. Alien tech melted. Panic spread. Zircon ships tried to lift off, but were shot down before they left the ground. Humans were not just coming. They had arrived. Inside the command tower, Crethar shouted, "Send reinforcements. Shoot that ship down." But it was too late. Smaller ships, Earth fighters, dropped from the warship. They were fast and silent, flying in V formation. Each one fired smart bombs that avoided civilians and hit only Zircon targets. The humans had learned. They had not come to destroy Earth. They came to take it back. In the confusion, Rayan and his team rushed toward the holding cells to find Tessa. The alien base was on fire. Drones fell from the sky. Guards were running. The team wore stolen Zircon armor to hide. Inside the prison wing, Rayan saw her, Tessa, tied to a wall, bruised but still alive. "Tessa," he shouted. She opened her eyes and smiled weakly. "Took you long enough." Juno used his stolen key chip to open the cell. Grake gave her water. "We thought we lost you," he said. Tessa whispered, "No." They tried, but I knew help was coming. As they escaped, they saw something strange. Humans in black armor with glowing red visors moving through the smoke. These were not prisoners. They were soldiers. One of them nodded at Rayan. "Civilian?" he asked. Rayan nodded slowly. "Yes, but not for long." The soldier tossed him a silver badge. "Then stay close. The fight isn't over." Outside, the sky was full of fire. The Ember Blade was now fighting 3 Zircon destroyers above the planet, but the human ship moved like lightning. Its weapons were not alien. They were built using something new, something Earthborn. One Zircon captain screamed into the comms, "What is this ship?" A human voice replied through the static, "We are Earth, and we remember." Then the Zircon destroyer exploded. In the city below, the people saw the lights in the sky. Slaves looked up. Workers dropped their tools. Children stopped crying. For the first time in their lives, they saw hope in the stars. One old woman whispered, "We are not alone anymore." Back at the cave, Rayan and his team gathered. The soldier who gave him the badge removed his helmet. He was a young man, only a few years older than Rayan. "My name is Captain Elric, Forsaken Flame Unit 7. Rayan asked, "Why now? Why return after so long?" Captain Elric answered, "Because the galaxy thought Earth was weak. We let them think that. We hid, we learned, we built. Now it's our turn." He looked around. "You're not just miners anymore. You're resistance. And we need you." Rayan looked at his friends, Tessa, Juno, Grake. All of them nodded. He felt something new rising in his chest. Not just hope. Fire. Earth was still wounded, still trapped. But now, Earth was angry. Earth was condemned to slavery. Now the galaxy trembles in fear. Earth had changed overnight. The sky still held smoke. The cities still stood in chains. But deep below the surface, something had awakened. Not a machine. Not a weapon. A rebellion. Rayan stood in front of a secret crowd in Mine Zone 12. Dozens of humans, young and old, listened with wide eyes. Some still wore chains. Others held broken tools like weapons. Captain Elric stood beside him. He spoke loud and clear. "You are not slaves anymore. You are the resistance." The room was silent. Then Rayan stepped forward. "The aliens fear us now. You saw it. Their towers shook. Their ships burned. And they will burn again." Someone asked, "But we have no guns. No army." Captain Elric smiled. "You don't need an army. You need a plan." Thus, the Shadow War began. It was not a war of big battles. Not yet. It was a war of small teams, silent missions, fast strikes. Captain Elric trained Rayan, Tessa, and others. He showed them how to move without sound, how to plant small bombs on alien machines, how to send coded messages through old Earth tech. Juno helped build signal jammers that stopped alien drones. Grake found old maps of underground tunnels, secret paths the Zircons didn't know. Rayan learned fast. He didn't feel like a miner anymore. He felt like a soldier. Their first mission was risky. A Zircon supply base outside the Dead Hills, full of fuel, weapons, and food, but heavily guarded. Rayan's team of 5 moved at night. Juno disabled the sensors. Tessa cut the wires on the fence. Rayan and Elric planted pulse bombs on fuel tanks. The team escaped just in time. A huge explosion lit up the night. That same day, alien food trucks never arrived at the labor camps. Humans went hungry. But the Zircons did too. And the humans smiled. Because now, they were fighting back. Across Earth, whispers began to spread. The resistance is real. They are here. We can fight. Some humans were still afraid. Some thought it was a lie. But others joined. A doctor, a teacher, a pilot who once flew for Earth's lost armies. They came out of hiding. Earth was building a new army, but in the shadows. But not all was going well. The Zircons were angry. Overseer Krethar survived the first attack. He now wore battle armor and never walked alone. He created new kill squads, faster, smarter, crueler. And he brought in a new weapon, a cybernetic hunter named Verax. Verax was half alien, half machine. He could smell fear. He could hear a whisper through walls. He was designed to find and destroy rebellion. One night, while Rayan and Tessa delivered a message to another team, Verax appeared. Without warning, he dropped from a wall and landed in front of them. "You smell like hope," he growled. Rayan fired the pulse breaker, but Verax moved fast. The blast missed. Tessa threw a flash bomb. White light filled the alley. They ran. Verax chased them through the ruins. His metal legs moved like thunder. Juno guided them through a hidden tunnel using his hack tablet. Turn left now. They jumped into a hole just as Verax's plasma blast hit the wall above. They escaped, but barely. Verax touched the broken bricks and smiled. Next time, I won't miss. Back in the Ember Blade, orbiting Earth, Captain Elric spoke with his commander, Admiral Sarah. She was an older woman with gray hair and fire in her eyes. Elric, she said, you must be careful. The Zircons are bringing in destroyers. If they find your base, they won't, Elric said, because we're not staying in one place. Admiral Sarah nodded. Good, because soon the real war begins. Meanwhile, Rayan stood on a rooftop and looked over the city of Karos, one of the largest Zircon slave hubs. Smoke still rose from the last supply attack. Drones buzzed above. Alien sirens echoed. But Rayan smiled. Tessa stood beside him. What are you thinking? I'm thinking, Rayan said, that we're not hiding anymore. She raised an eyebrow. Then what are we doing? Rayan's eyes locked on the tall command tower in the center of the city. We're going to take that tower. Tessa stared at him. That's suicide. Rayan nodded slowly. Maybe. But if we take the tower, we send a message to the whole planet. Earth was condemned to slavery. Now the galaxy trembles in fear. The tower stood tall, a symbol of the Zircon's power and control over Earth. The humans who had worked below it had never seen its top. They could only dream of what lay beyond the fortified walls. Now, Rayan and his team had one goal. They were going to bring it down. Rayan looked up at the looming tower, the highest point in Karos City. Alien guards patrolled the roof. Drones circled in the air, scanning for any signs of rebellion. Tessa turned to Rayan. Are you sure about this? We can't just march in there. They'll see us coming. Rayan looked at her, determination burning in his eyes. We don't march in. We sneak in. The plan was simple, but dangerous. The first part was the hardest, infiltrating the lower levels. Juno had already hacked the city's old maintenance tunnels, a network of hidden pathways beneath the tower. These tunnels had once been used by workers, but after the alien takeover, they had been forgotten. Juno led the way, his fingers flying over the old tech tablet. It's not perfect, but it'll get us inside, he whispered, his voice steady despite the danger. Inside the tunnels, the air was damp and cold. The walls were covered in rust and old Earth symbols, symbols of a time when humans had ruled the planet. Now, they were nothing more than faded reminders of a lost world. They moved quickly, staying low and silent, avoiding the patrols above. Grake, the oldest of the group, kept his eyes on the map. He had been a miner his whole life, but now he was a soldier. Every step they took, every turn they made, was one closer to victory. After what felt like hours, they finally reached the base of the tower. The entrance was hidden behind an old loading dock, sealed shut by a huge metal door. Tessa stepped forward, pulling out a small explosive charge. This should do it, she said, planting the charge at the base of the door. The blast was deafening, shaking the ground beneath them. Dust and debris filled the air, and for a moment, everything was silent. Then the door fell, revealing a dark, narrow corridor leading into the tower. Let's move, Rayan ordered. As they entered the tower, the tension was thick. Every hallway was guarded. Every corner could hide an enemy. But Rayan's team was quick. They had learned how to blend into the shadows, how to move like whispers. They reached the first control room, a large chamber filled with alien technology. The walls were lined with glowing screens, each one showing live feeds from across the city. We need to disable the security systems, Rayan said. Juno immediately began to work, his fingers moving rapidly over the terminal. The room was silent, except for the soft clicking of keys. He frowned as he typed. It's locked. I'll need a minute. The seconds felt like hours. Then, finally, the screen flashed green. The alarms went silent. "We're in," Juno said, breathing a sigh of relief. But the victory was short-lived. As they moved deeper into the tower, the ground shook. Rayan's heart sank. "They found us," Grake muttered. Outside, overhead, a Zircon warship appeared, its engines roaring. The ship hovered above the tower, blocking out the sun. Its guns were aimed directly at the building. Rayan knew they had to hurry. If they didn't take control of the tower soon, everything would be lost. They reached the central command room. The room was enormous, filled with holographic maps and alien consoles. At the far end, a huge throne-like chair sat empty, but in front of it, a massive control panel pulsed with power. "Take the console," Rayan said. "We can use it to shut down the defenses." But as soon as Juno stepped forward, a cold, metallic voice echoed through the room. "You are too late." It was Verax, the cybernetic hunter. He stepped into the room, his mechanical legs clanking on the floor. His eyes glowed red as he scanned the group. "I knew you would come, but you'll never leave." Tessa stepped forward, her fists clenched. "We'll see about that." Verax's grin was terrifying. "You've already failed." Suddenly, the warship above fired. The room shook again, and part of the wall collapsed, sending debris flying. The blast created a huge hole in the tower, and through the smoke, Rayan saw the distant city below. The tower was crumbling. "We don't have much time," Rayan shouted. "Juno, now." Juno sprinted to the console, typing faster than ever. Almost there, Verax lunged, his metal hands aiming for Juno's throat. But Tessa was faster. She threw a flash grenade at Verax, blinding him. In the chaos, Rayan fired the pulse breaker. The shot hit Verax's arm, sending sparks flying. Verax stumbled back, his systems failing. He looked at Rayan with rage. "You think this will stop me?" Rayan smiled, determined. "No, but it's enough." Juno hit the final key. The tower's control panel lit up. All over the building, the alien systems powered down. The warship above faltered, losing its connection to the tower. Outside, the Zircon warship's engines sputtered and died. The once impenetrable fortress of the Zircons was now defenseless. The tower, once a symbol of oppression, began to collapse. Rayan and his team ran, barely escaping the falling debris. As they reached the exit, they looked back at the crumbling structure. The warship above was already retreating. Its mission failed. The Zircon forces in the city were in disarray, unsure of what to do next. But Rayan knew this was just the beginning. The resistance had struck the first blow. Back in the underground base, Rayan and his team watched as the tower fell in the distance, a cloud of dust rising high into the air. "It's over," Tessa said quietly. "They won't be the same after this." Rayan nodded. "This is only the start." They had taken the tower. They had shown the galaxy that Earth was no longer a slave. But Rayan knew the war was far from over. The real battle had only just begun. Earth was condemned to slavery. Now the galaxy trembles in fear. The tower was gone. Its collapse echoed across the planet. The fall of Earth's greatest symbol of oppression was a signal to every corner of the world and beyond. Humans were no longer hiding. They were fighting back. Rayan stood at the edge of the destroyed city, his eyes scanning the ruins of the once mighty Zircon Tower. The smoke rose into the sky, but instead of despair, it carried a promise. The resistance had become something bigger, something unstoppable. Around him, people emerged from hiding. Civilians, workers, and even former prisoners, all coming together to form the Flameborn. They were Earth's last hope. "Rayan," Tessa said, her voice calm but full of pride. "We did it. We really did it." Rayan didn't respond immediately. His mind was racing. The warship had retreated, but that didn't mean the battle was over. Far from it. "This is just the beginning," he replied quietly, looking at the group that had gathered around them. We've struck their pride. But now we need to hit them where it hurts the most. Back on the Ember Blade, Captain Elric watched the broadcast of the tower's collapse. His face was hard, but inside, he was proud. We've got their attention, Elric muttered. But we need more. We need to hit harder. Admiral Sarah appeared on the screen. We've got intel from Earth. The Zircons are regrouping in the northern territories. They're preparing to launch a counterattack. Good, Elric said, his voice firm. We'll hit them there. But this time, we do it together. On Earth, the Flameborn was growing. Rayan's team had become legends, symbols of hope to those who had been oppressed for so long. They trained new recruits. They forged new weapons. They built a network of resistance across the globe. But there were dangers ahead. Zircon spies had infiltrated cities. Alien patrols were everywhere, hunting for signs of the rebellion. And then, the message came. A group of Flameborn scouts sent word that the Zircons were assembling a new superweapon in the northern mountains. It was a massive structure, powerful enough to destroy entire cities. Rayan knew what they had to do. We're going to destroy that weapon, he said to his team. This is our chance. We can stop them before they're ready. The journey to the northern mountains was long and treacherous. The group moved by night, using old hidden paths to avoid detection. They knew the Zircons would be watching. They could not afford to make a mistake. Captain Elric and his team joined them halfway, bringing with them weapons and supplies from the Ember Blade. When they finally reached the base of the mountain, the sight that greeted them was terrifying. The superweapon stood like a dark monument, its metallic surface reflecting the light of the dying sun. The structure was surrounded by a heavily fortified perimeter. Guards patrolled in shifts. The whole place was buzzing with alien activity. We need to get inside without being seen, Juno said. If we go in loud, we won't make it. Rayan nodded. Then we don't go in loud. We go in silent. The plan was simple. Disable the outer defenses, then plant explosives inside the superweapon's core. Grake would handle the explosives. Tessa would create distractions. Juno would hack into the systems to shut down the security. But the hardest part was yet to come. Rayan had to infiltrate the central command center. He had to face Verax, the cybernetic hunter, alone. As they moved toward the perimeter, a loud alarm suddenly sounded. The Zircons had detected them. They found us, Grake shouted, looking back at the approaching soldiers. No time for hesitation, Rayan said, grabbing Tessa's arm. We move. Now. The team split up, scattering into the shadows. Rayan and Tessa ran toward the central tower, their hearts pounding in their chests. The sounds of alien boots echoed around them, but they pushed forward. Inside the command center, Verax stood waiting. His eyes scanned the room, flicking to the shadows. He knew Rayan was coming. Rayan stepped into the room, his breath steady. His heart raced, but he remained calm. He was no longer a miner, no longer just a rebel. He had become the Flameborn. Verax's mechanical voice rumbled. You think you can stop me? Rayan said nothing. He pulled out his weapon and fired first. The shot missed, but Verax was already moving. His speed was unmatched. The fight was brutal. Rayan dodged, rolled, and fired again. Each time he got close, Verax's enhanced reflexes kept him at bay. But Rayan wasn't trying to kill him. He was trying to survive, to stall long enough for the others to finish the mission. Outside, Grake planted the last of the explosives. Tessa created chaos by sabotaging the perimeter sensors. Juno disabled the last of the security systems, sending the signal to the Flameborn outside. The countdown had begun. Back inside, Rayan's energy was fading. He was outmatched. Verax's strength and speed were too much. But then something inside Rayan shifted. He had come this far. He wasn't going to die here. With a roar, he lunged at Verax, using his last burst of strength. He caught the hunter off guard. The impact sent Verax crashing into a control panel, his systems sparking and failing. Rayan fell to his knees, breathless, his body broken. But he knew it was over. Verax was no longer a threat. Outside, the Flameborn team was ready. The final bomb was set. Juno's voice came through the comms. "Rayan, get out of there. Now." Rayan dragged himself to his feet, his vision blurry. He stumbled toward the exit, the countdown echoing in his mind. As Rayan and Tessa reached the safety of the forest, the sky lit up with the explosion. The superweapon was gone. Rayan stood, watching the flames rise in the distance. This time, the victory was theirs. But the war was far from over. The Flameborn had risen.